I'm a 23-year-old man, and I need to share this because it's been weighing on me for years. My whole life, I've been a letdown to my family, not because I failed, but because I chose a path they consider beneath them. I started fixing things as a teenager, helping neighbors with their porches and fences. By 18, I was working for a local contractor who taught me everything about carpentry and home repairs. 2 years later, I had enough skills and contacts to start my own handyman business. Here's the truth. I'm doing really well financially. Really well. It's solid income. I have steady clients who refer me to others, no debt, a paid-off truck, and enough savings to buy a house if I chose to. I charge $75 an hour for most jobs, and I'm booked weeks in advance. Do the math. But my parents act like I'm one misstep from living on the streets. My dad sends me job listings for real careers, and my mom constantly mentions night school, as if I'm a drifter who can't figure out his life. Meanwhile, my sister Anna, 26, is their perfect child. Untouchable in their eyes, Anna went to Cornell, landed a flashy marketing job in the city, and supposedly lives a glamorous Instagram life with her investment banker boyfriend. Every family dinner is the Anna show, and then they glance at me with disappointment, saying things like, "So, built any nice shelves lately?" As if my work is a hobby. The wildest part. 2 years ago, I overheard my parents arguing about money. Dad's company cut his hours, and they were behind on their mortgage. They were terrified of losing the house I grew up in, filled with our family memories. I had the money to help. I'd been saving nearly everything I earned. But I knew they'd never accept my help because, to them, I'm just messing around with tools until I grow up and get a proper job. So I did something bold. I figured out how to set up automatic mortgage payments from my business account, making it look like they came from their retirement fund. For 2 years, I've been quietly paying their $1,750 monthly mortgage. Over $40,000 of my failed career's money keeping a roof over their heads, while they praise Anna for posting photos of her business-class flights. I never said a word, partly out of pride, partly hoping they'd see I was doing well. They never did. Dad still calls me my son, who's figuring things out. And Mom keeps sending me listings for rundown apartments I could easily afford but would never live in. The worst is family gatherings. Aunts and uncles ask Anna about her fabulous life, while I get hanging in there. Questions, as if I'm barely scraping by. Last Christmas, my cousin offered to help me find a stable job while I was working on a $220,000 kitchen remodel for the mayor's house. Anna laps it up. She's always been the golden child, straight A's, class president, the perfect daughter. I was always just the other one. I've tried showing them I'm doing well in subtle ways. I bought a nice watch. I take them out to dinner and pay quietly. I got Mom a luxury spa package for her birthday, but they think I'm being reckless with my money, like I should be saving every cent in case my hobby fails. The thing is, I'm not even mad they favor Anna. That's been my whole life. What hurts is they genuinely think I'm a failure when I'm literally saving their home from foreclosure. I know I should tell them, but at this point, it feels too dramatic, and I don't have the energy. Anna's not a bad person. We got along growing up. But a few months ago, I started noticing odd things about her. She's always been active on social media, posting about client meetings, office parties, and weekend trips with her boyfriend, Ryan. Then her posts started disappearing. She stopped tagging locations, no more check-ins at fancy restaurants or her office building. Then I noticed something bizarre. She posted a skyline photo, supposedly from her corporate office, but I recognized it from a real estate listing I'd seen while browsing apartments. It was a stock photo. Around the same time, her visits home became rare. When she did show up, she dodged questions about work. She used to brag about her clients and projects, but now she'd just say things were busy or going great without details, then change the subject. Ryan, her boyfriend, started acting off too. He used to be confident, always talking about investments, but the last time I saw him, he seemed stressed. When Dad asked him about stock tips, Ryan got awkward and said he wasn't allowed to discuss it. Odd, since he never stopped before. I overheard them arguing behind the house once. Ryan said something like, "You can't keep this up, it's out of control," and Anna replied, "Just give me more time." When they saw me, they went quiet and fake smiled. After that, I paid closer attention. Anna forgot her wallet every time we went out to eat. Her brand new Audi was in the shop for 3 months straight, and she kept borrowing Mom's car. She used to show up with designer shopping bags. Now she was borrowing Mom's clothes and jewelry. When my parents asked her for help with small expenses, she'd make excuses about her accounts being tied up or being between payment cycles. Her Instagram still showed the lavish lifestyle, but I noticed she was recycling old photos with new captions, like the same office party pic, captioned as a new client celebration, months apart. I tried hinting to my parents that something might be off with Anna, saying things like, "Have you noticed Anna seems stressed about work?" Or "Isn't it weird her car's been in the shop so long?" Mom shut it down, getting defensive. "Not everyone wants to spend their life fixing broken shelves like you. Real careers have real stress." Dad was better but dismissed it. "Your sister's in a high-pressure industry. She's doing big things, not just swinging a hammer." This from the guy whose hammer-swinging son is secretly paying his mortgage. It was driving me crazy. Was I the only one seeing these red flags, or was I just jealous? I didn't want to believe Anna was lying about everything, but something wasn't adding up. I decided to dig a little, not anything creepy, just basic checks. I looked up her company online to see if she was listed on their team page. She wasn't, which was strange for someone supposedly up for a director role. I also searched Ryan's investment firm. The company existed, but no Ryan was listed. I didn't know what to do with this, confront Anna, tell my parents. I decided to wait and see, especially since my business was keeping me busy. I just hired a helper because I couldn't handle all the work myself. My real, thriving business meant nothing to my parents because it wasn't a fancy office job. My friend Jake was the only one who knew I was paying the mortgage. He thought I was nuts for not walking away and letting my parents face their own mess. Looking back, he was probably right. The breaking point came about a month ago when everything started unraveling. I learned my parents had been asking Anna for money, small amounts for unexpected expenses. I was covering their biggest bill, yet they were turning to Anna for cash. The kicker. Mom said Anna had helped them several times over the past year, but it was always weird. Anna would promise to send money, but there'd be a bank issue. She'd say she'd send a check, but it never arrived. She'd claim to pay a bill directly, but late notices kept coming. My parents kept believing her excuses, all while telling me to get my finances together. I started wondering what would happen if I stopped paying their mortgage. Would they finally see Anna wasn't helping? Or would they lose the house and blame me for not being successful enough to step up? I was tired of being the invisible supporter while Anna got all the praise for nothing. So I made a plan, not knowing how fast things would fall apart. It started a few days later. I was in my workshop, finishing a custom cabinet for a client when Mom walked in. I could tell something was wrong. She watched me work, then launched into a rant about how tough the economy was and how everyone was struggling. I kept working, hoping she'd finally admit their money troubles. Instead, she hit me with, "Your dad and I think it's time you started contributing to household expenses. You know, paying rent while you're living here." I nearly ruined the cabinet. I put down my tools, stunned. I'd been paying their $1,750 mortgage for 2 years, and now they wanted rent. I tried to stay calm, explaining I was 23, running a successful business, and should be saving for my own place. Mom looked at me like I'd betrayed her. "We've supported you your whole life," she said dramatically, "and this is how you repay us." I asked why they weren't asking Anna for rent. She's the golden child with the big career. Mom's face changed. She rambled about Anna's real expenses and career demands while I was just messing with wood. Then she said Anna had already loaned them money multiple times, which I knew was a lie. I laughed. It was either that or punch a wall. The absurdity was overwhelming. Mom got furious, saying, "You've always been jealous of Anna's success. Maybe if you'd applied yourself instead of hanging out at construction sites, you'd be something too." I almost told her about the mortgage right then, but I held back. Maybe it was pride, or maybe I wanted to see how far they'd go. Instead, I said, "Fine, ask Anna for the rent, see what happens." The next 3 weeks were hell. Mom seemed determined to prove I was a failure. She accidentally deleted client emails from our shared family computer, work requests worth thousands. When I confronted her, she claimed she was clearing spam. Then our home internet stopped working. Mom said it was technical issues, but I overheard her canceling the service to cut costs. I had to use my phone data for a week until I got a separate connection for my workshop. She even organized a family intervention for my lack of direction, inviting my uncle, a corporate manager, to lecture me. I had to leave halfway through to give an estimate for a $155,000 deck restoration. Dad stayed mostly quiet, occasionally backing Mom, but seeming uneasy about her tactics. One night he came to my workshop and awkwardly said Mom was just worried about my future. Meanwhile, Mom kept pushing the rent issue, leaving passive-aggressive notes on my door. It was surreal. I was paying their mortgage, yet they treated me like a freeloader. The final straw was when Mom went through my mail and took a $200 cash tip from a client's thank you note, saying it was for groceries I'd eaten. I got a P.O. box the next day. Anna stayed conveniently absent, barely answering calls and giving vague excuses about work. Mom kept defending her, saying she was busy with a big project. I felt guilty knowing what might happen, but was also tired of being the only one facing reality. My business, meanwhile, was thriving. I landed high-end projects, like a $122,000 entertainment center for a doctor's home, and was turning down jobs because I couldn't keep up. I was even considering hiring full-time staff. But to my parents, I was still just tinkering in the garage. I started seriously planning to move out. I found affordable rentals with space for a small workshop. I could afford them easily, but I hesitated, worried about what would happen if I stopped paying the mortgage. Would they be grateful, humiliated, or angry I'd deceived them? Knowing my parents, especially Mom, they'd probably make me the villain. The stress was getting to me. I started losing sleep, replaying Mom's sabotage and questioning if I was wrong for not paying rent on top of the mortgage. Work suffered. I made careless mistakes, miscut wood, and missed a client meeting. I confided in Jake while working on a deck job. He was floored, saying, "Why are you still there? Why are you paying their bills? They're treating you like trash." I didn't have a good answer. Part of it was guilt. They're my parents, and I didn't want them to lose their home. Part of me hoped they'd finally see my success. Jake said I had to either confront them or leave. He was right, but I stayed in limbo, dodging Mom's sabotage while running my business and paying their bills. Things got worse. Mom started cleaning my workshop without permission, misplacing tools and losing project plans. Dad kept guilt-tripping me about family duty. Mom even told relatives I was struggling and staying home until I got back on my feet. A family friend's son offered me a job at his moving company, forcing me to explain I already ran a successful business. My parents saw signs of my success but twisted them negatively. When I bought a new work truck, Mom called it flashy. When clients called the house, Dad asked if they were real jobs. It was like they were determined to see me as a failure. Meanwhile, Anna remained the star despite her obvious red flags. Mom kept saying, "Anna's working long hours, she might be promoted to VP," or "Anna and Ryan are looking at beachfront property." I tuned it out, taking jobs farther away to avoid home. I locked my business documents in a fireproof safe after Mom snooping and backed everything up to the cloud. I was living like I was under siege in my own home, waking up wondering what new sabotage I'd face. Then I overheard Mom on the phone with a friend, worrying about my financial irresponsibility. The irony was unbearable. She was talking about the son secretly paying her mortgage. Around this time, my parents grew anxious about Anna's silence. Mom called her daily, but Anna was evasive, blaming meetings or busy projects. Dad started wondering aloud how Anna was really doing, but they couldn't fully admit something was wrong. Then Mom tried to access my bank account. I caught her on my laptop, claiming she was checking the weather, but I saw my bank's website in her closed tabs. That was it. I couldn't live like this anymore. I found a rental 20 minutes away with a garage for my workshop and was about to put down a deposit when everything collapsed. It was a Tuesday evening. I was in my workshop when Mom's phone rang. She thought it was Anna and answered excitedly, but her tone shifted to confusion, then horror. It was Ryan, Anna's boyfriend, spilling everything. Mom kept saying, "That can't be right. There's a mistake." I couldn't hear Ryan, but Mom's reactions made it clear he was exposing a very different version of Anna's life. When she hung up, she sat there, hands trembling, staring at her phone. She looked at me and said, "That was Ryan. He and Anna broke up. He says she lost her job over a year ago. She's been lying to everyone." I didn't say anything. Saying, "I told you so," felt cruel. Mom said Ryan claimed Anna was fired for lying on her resume, had been pretending to go to work, and was maxing out credit cards to maintain appearances. She broke down crying. I felt no satisfaction, just a mix of pain for Anna and frustration that it took this long for the truth to surface. Dad came home, and Mom told him. He didn't believe it at first, insisting Ryan was lying, but his eyes showed he knew it was true. Anna's inconsistencies suddenly made sense. They tried calling her all night, leaving desperate voicemails. "Please call us back. We just want to know you're okay." I went to bed, wondering if this would change how they saw me. Would they realize I wasn't the failure, or would they blame me for not warning them? The next morning, everything shifted. Mom was at the kitchen table, still in yesterday's clothes, eyes red from crying. Dad was pacing, leaving voicemails for Anna. They barely noticed me. I made coffee and sat across from Mom, unsure what to say. Finally, she looked at me with desperation, not judgment, and said, "We need your help." She admitted their financial struggles. Dad's pension was smaller than expected. Medical bills from his knee surgery had piled up, and they'd been barely getting by. They thought Anna was helping, but her help was all lies. Promised payments never arrived, and bills she claimed to pay stayed overdue. "We're going to lose the house," Mom said. "The retirement fund we've been using for the mortgage, it's empty. We're 3 months behind." I stared at her. 3 months behind? That wasn't possible. I'd been paying the mortgage religiously. "That's not right," I said. "The mortgage is current. I've been paying it every month." Mom looked confused. "How would you know that?" I took a deep breath and told them everything. How I overheard their fears about losing the house, how I set up payments to look like they came from their retirement fund, how I'd been keeping them afloat while they called me a failure. Mom's face was unforgettable, pure shock. Dad dropped his phone. "Why didn't you tell us?" he asked quietly. "Would you have taken my money?" I replied. "From your disappointing son with his hobby job, or would you have been too proud?" They had no answer. Mom started calculating the $40,000 plus I'd paid, asking, "Why did you do it?" I said, "Because it's our family home, because I didn't want you to lose it, because you're still my parents." Mom cried again, different tears this time. Dad tried to say he was proud of my business sense, and Mom claimed she always saw my potential. But the conversation was tense and awkward. Their world had shattered, and I was left wondering what came next. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.